Welcome back in. Happy hump day, everybody. Welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. And today we got a double dose of Prime Sports World. We're going to start with the crossover. We're going to be breaking down the Western Conference. If you missed our show last week, we broke down the Eastern Conference. That show is also on our Facebook page, our YouTube page, and the Twitter and the Twitch. So go check that stuff out when we broke down the Eastern Conference. This is going to be our Western Conference edition show. We're going to break down the Western Conference. I'm David. Helping right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. Welcome into the show. Also, if you're looking for consistent content on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, you've come to the right place. We go live basically every single day, bringing the most up-to-date content. I've also shared the StreamYard link into all of the places, including the main Prime Sports World Facebook page. So if you want to join us and talk a little NBA action, Western Conference, more than welcome to do so. Our show later will be Fantasy Football Weekly, where we help you get your lineup set up for that Week 6 fantasy football matchups. Most people need a win in that week, including myself. I had a rough week, but we'll get into that in the next show. Western Conference, TJ, how are you, buddy?
All right. Just chilling.
All right, for sure. What's just an overview on the Western Conference before we get into our rankings for themselves, where we have each team ranked when it comes to the Western Conference?
Well, obviously, the reigning champs are in this conference. They've won. What is it?
Four titles in 7 years or something like that.
4 titles in 7 years. So
yeah,
the conversation starts with them and ends with them. I think this season coming up might be their toughest road.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there are going to be some teams that are going to be better than they were last season. They got some players back healthy. There'll also be some development of some young players who will continue to get better and improve. So Western Conference. Yeah, so let's talk about the number one seed in the Western Conference. Who do you have as the number one seed in the Western Conference going into this season? Number one.
Who do I have going at the number one seed right now? Oh, I mean, like the safe bet is Golden State, right? Until somebody proves they can like beat them 4 times in 7 games, like it's them.
I'll give you a counteraction. I don't think it'll be the Golden State Warriors. I actually think Memphis Grizzlies are going to be the number one seed.
I don't hate that.
Are going to be the number one seed in the Western Conference. I think Ja Morant's an up-and-coming star. I think all the players on there. I am concerned about the Jaren Jackson Jr. injury. I think he's going to miss 2 months of the season, something like that. Like he's already injured, and he has a player who has injury concerns. But Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, this is Steven Adams. This is a roster that should be good enough to carry them for a little while. Memphis, I think. Because I think Memphis understands that if they're going to be really a contender in the Western Conference, they need the number one seed. They don't want to go on the road for a playoff series potentially in the second round. Give me Memphis as the number one seed in the Western Conference.
Yeah, I don't hate that. That could also that's also super realistic.
I also could see a scenario. I know this is probably probably no chance in hell that they are like a play-in team. Like this, Jaren Jackson Jr. is unable to stay healthy. Maybe Ja Morant picks up a couple nagging injuries here and here. Because let's not forget about where Memphis was at this time last season. Nobody had them being the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. They overachieved last year by many metrics. So maybe they'll come back down to earth a little bit during this season, but I'm not predicting that. I'm still got them as the 1 seed in the Western Conference.
Well, obviously, like when you win 50 or more games a season, and I don't think they're going to be as lucky as they did because you know the stat, like they were like 22 and whatever.
22-2 without Ja Morant.
Without Ja Morant, but a bunch of the squad was healthy during that whenever that occurred, right? Jaren Jackson was there, Dylan Brooks was there, Desmond Bane was there. Like they were a deeper team. Some of those guys from that team last year aren't there. Namely,
Slow-Mo is no longer on this team. DeAnthony Melton is no longer on this team. Like they've lost some pieces this offseason.
So and now you're asking for guys to step up when they've never been in that situation. I state stuff like that all the time. But would I be surprised if they somehow made it to the top seed in the West? Absolutely not. Taylor Jenkins he's
a fantastic head coach.
He's building his seat for that best coach in the NBA table. Like he building that seat. it's just like it's just what he had, like what the other coaches have that he don't have, is i.e. consistency and championships, right?
Yep.
And so that's about it. So yeah.
So yeah, we'll see how that ends up shaking out. Yeah, I got the Memphis Grizzlies, my number 1 seed. At number 2, I have the Los Angeles Clippers actually the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. I think they have the. I know I talked smack about depth the last time we did one show. They have the deepest roster in the NBA. They have an opportunity where they will not be putting a bad basketball player on the floor. You expect Kawhi Leonard to be back. You expected Paul George to be back. You had John Walls at this team. They are the deepest team. So if any of those three guys miss time here and there, they have a roster that's deep enough to cover for it. And Tyronn Lue showed last season that he might be the best coach in the NBA, like low key. Yeah, I have the Clippers actually as my number 2 seed in the Western Conference.
I actually got Memphis as my number 2 seed in the Western Conference because like it's all fine and dandy. Like the Clippers, they're gonna be tough, but again, like those gotta play. They gotta play. All right, like they already have a nickname and it's not a good one. All right, they run DNP. Right, like Kawhi Leonard ain't played a basketball game in a year and a half.
Yep.
Paul George missed like 50 games last season. John Wall ain't played in about a year and a half. Like
John Wall hasn't played meaningful basketball in 4 seasons.
Like, come on, man. Like,
I understand the that I could be dead wrong, but I just look at the depth on this team, and I think there'll be nights where they can rest their stars and still win games because they just have a lot of good basketball players on their roster. I mean, Reggie Jackson, Norman Powell, like Robert Covington, all of those guys are good basketball players.
The one thing that may hurt them is outside of Zubac, they have no size. They have, like, look at their roster. They have no size. Like, their second unit legit might be John Wall, Kennard, Norman Powell,
Robert Covington at the 5 potentially.
Yeah, bro. Like they start, like they second unit.
I do think Robert Covington will be their backup 5. Nicholas Batum, Luka Kennard, John Wall, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann come off the bench. He doesn't. Moses Brown is an interesting player that they have at the back end of their bench.
But that is, and legit, the only time we've seen Moses Brown play NBA basketball was on a terrible Thunder team.
It's true.
And he ain't been able to find minutes elsewhere since, bro. Like I'm so serious. Like
you're not 100% not wrong. But people were excited about him when Dallas traded for him last season, but that didn't really pan out. It didn't work out.
Bro. Like,
no, he didn't. From the number 2 seed to number 3, who do you have as the number 3 team in the Western Conference?
Denver. No, and it's different because we've seen Joker, MPJ, and Jamal Murray together. We've seen that, and we know what they are when they're healthy. They're like, they're my 3 seed. Like healthy, they're gonna be nasty. Even if MPJ is out and Jamal Murray's there, right? Like I still got faith in them to be the 3 seed. I don't know why they did it, but I would re-sign Boogie Cousins.
I would do that too. If he does, I think he might end up being a Clipper actually, which I would love that signing for the Clippers too. Any team could use DeMarcus Cousins, a wing that can, or a big that can shoot the 3 a little bit, can make his own shot. Like, I think the era of DeMarcus Cousins is no longer valuable is ridiculous. So get him on your team. He can score for you. He can put the ball in the basket. He's not going to defend a whole lot, but.
Well, nobody.
Yeah. It's true, especially the 5. I don't hate that Nuggets prediction. I think there could be they're for sure, like, in the upper echelon of the Western Conference. But actually, this is where I have the Golden State Warriors at number 3. I think that there's going to be a little bit of that drama that takes them down just a little bit with all the stuff that's going on with Jordan Poole. But with that being said, I think the Warriors understand that they don't need to be the number 1 seed in the Western Conference in order to go to the finals. Like they just don't. Like when it comes to those other 2 teams like Memphis and the Clippers, I think they need that spot more than the Warriors, and I think they'll be okay with just not giving it everything they got every single night. Those guys are going to miss some time, and I don't really know what they're going to get out of Wiseman yet, but he has looked good in the preseason. So I got the Warriors at number 3.
It's obviously, like, everybody still wants to talk about the incident. You know what I'm talking about. Everybody still wants to talk about that because I think they came out, was it either today or yesterday, that that Draymond Green is not going to be suspended,
Nope.
and you kind of have to look at that. Like, if I'm Jordan Poole, it's the last time he had an incident with a teammate, and it didn't get physical; it was verbal. You suspended him for a game. Right now, don't get me wrong. That teammate was Kevin Durant, and I'm not saying Jordan Poole is Kevin Durant. I am not saying that, but punching a teammate, that kind of has to, like, that's not the NBA does not. It has nothing to do with that. That's on the team.
Yep.
All right, like, so, like, when Bobby Portis got suspended for punching Nikola
Mirotic, yeah.
That was the Bulls doing that. That wasn't the NBA someone coming down saying, "Hey, you need to suspend this guy." So I don't know how much of a, like, obviously winning cares all, but deep down, like, they kind of looking at each other sideways, right? Like, like, especially because, like that kind of sends a message to the other guys on the team. They're like, "Hey, if I get into it with one of these dudes, the team ain't gonna have my back. They gonna have their back."
Yeah, Draymond Green is probably not going to be a Golden State Warrior after this season.
Nah, probably not now. No,
I think he will be. I think he'll be somewhere else. I think that they've built up a lineup, like those young players, and like to do what Draymond Green, a little bit of what he did, and yeah, he won't be on this team anymore. But yeah, that's my 3 seed. My 4 seed is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I know it's probably we haven't seen the Rudy Gobert, Karl-Anthony Towns. Also, Karl-Anthony Towns, please get healthy. I don't know if he's recovered from whatever he had to go to the hospital for. I know he lost a bunch of weight. I have not seen if he's played in the preseason yet. But if he can get healthy and this team gets right and they click, this could be a really upper echelon team in the Western Conference. I like the pieces. I like Anthony Edwards. I like Rudy Gobert's defensive fit on this team. And I like, take a little bit of pressure off of Karl-Anthony Towns to be defensive. Give me Minnesota at the 4 seed in the Western Conference for me.
Minnesota at the 4 seed. Don't hate it. I'm lying. I despise it. I'm just playing.
You're gonna for sure hate some of the stuff on my list too. So it's all good. It all works.
New Orleans.
Oof. All right.
New Orleans. Hey, bro. Like, they deep. Like, they legit might have the deepest team in the NBA, not being the Clippers. Like, really think about it. Like, seriously, really think about it, right? They might have the deepest.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. I mean, they drafted well. I mean, add Zion to a team that made the playoffs last year and made things interesting for Phoenix. Yeah, I think that's for sure. I don't even hate that prediction either. I like that. I like New Orleans a lot, actually.
No, obviously, last year was it couldn't have gone. I mean, like, it turned out well, right? You made the play in. No, you made the playoffs, and you gave Phoenix all they could handle. But it's tough to gauge you when arguably your best player wasn't there, right? Like, Zion is a walking 20. I give him 24-8. 24-8, and he looks great. By the way, he looks great.
He looks phenomenal.
He done slimmed down. His activity is out the rules. All that good stuff.
And he got the contract, so assuming he's happy there. I mean that 3 player, CJ McCollum and Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. I mean, that might be the best big 3 in the NBA potentially.
Potentially, right? And,
without doubt.
So, like, and I still don't expect them to. I don't expect them to. What's the word I'm looking at? Sit still at the deadline. Like, I feel like if they feel like they're a piece away.
I mean, like, they have the draft picks and the young assets. If they wanted to go get, I can't really think of a name right now, but like they have the young assets and the draft capital. Like, if they wanted to try, let's say like the Thunder, or just like, let's say SGA wants to be like, hey, I would like to play somewhere where I can actually compete. Like, they could package up some of those picks and some of those young talent and get SGA.
Yes, they absolutely could.
Yeah, and like that would be extremely interesting. I literally can't. I mean, if things go sideways for the Sacramento Kings, I mean, De'Aaron Fox could potentially be on the move. I don't really love that fit of De'Aaron Fox next to CJ McCollum, but
Well, I do because it kind of gives not kind of it gives De'Aaron Fox something he's never really had, right? He's never had that running mate at the 2 spot. Like obviously, like I don't know if they trying to pair, I don't know if they're trying to rekindle that old Kentucky magic with him and Malik Monk because Malik Monk's in Sacramento now, but it's like this is the big boys, right? Like this is the pros. This ain't college, right? Like so, it's
Yeah, I mean, he didn't get to play that long with Tyrese Halliburton, but yeah, that would be. I mean, that would be interesting. I know I don't really know if Sacramento's ready to make that move, but we'll for sure see. And I actually really like that prediction at the 4 seed for New Orleans. Who do you got at the 5?
Who do I have at the 5? I'm stuck. I really am. I'm stuck between Minnesota, and you're gonna laugh at this, but I legit think if it's legit riding on one dude. And you know who I'm talking about. It's legit riding on one person. If this one dude is there, it's just this one dude because I know for a fact one guy gonna be there. They want to get rid of him, but he ain't going nowhere. The other guy, they want to get rid of him, but he ain't going nowhere. The other guy is, the other guy, but the one dude that really needs to take over, it really depends on him. So I can honestly see the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Lakers battling for that 5 spot. Like 5 through the west of the play-in is going to be a dogfight.
I 100% agree with you. There's going to be a good basketball team in the Western Conference that doesn't make the playoffs.
That doesn't make the team. And
for real,
and I know who my good basketball team is. That's probably not going to make the playoffs.
I know who my decent basketball team that's not making the playoffs is. My number 5 seed is actually the Denver Nuggets. For all the reasons that you said, it's the same reason that I feel that they're the 5 seed. Like they have I like the low key kind of sneaky moves they made in the offseason, like trading for KPJ. It's a perfect compliment. The guy who's a 3-and-D wing, he'll defend, he can shoot the basketball a little bit. Gives you more defensively than Phil Barton did. He's a good basketball player. He's a good fit on this roster. If Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray can stay healthy and continue to contribute to this team, this is a good basketball team. I got Denver as my 5 seed.
And not to mention, you got the reigning MVP, man.
The 2-time reigning MVP.
2-time.
It hasn't since he won those MVPs. He hasn't had the running mate with him. My number 6 seed is the Phoenix Suns. This is as high as I can go for them. The DeAndre Ayton stuff is bad, like real bad, and then the owner stuff is still. I know it's like it won't be as bad because they already said he's going to sell the team and all this stuff, but it's still going to be something people are going to ask them about. It's going to be a distraction from here and there. And then I'm not really totally sold that like how much Chris Paul is actually going to play this season. I think the Suns have learned their lesson. Where if we run Chris Paul into the ground during the regular season, he may not be available in the playoffs. Like that's kind of been the MO of Chris Paul like the last couple of years. Like if we play him into the ground during the regular season so we can have the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, he's going to get hurt and not be available in the playoffs. I got the Phoenix Suns at the 6th seed. And I also don't really love what they did this offseason either. So
I got the Mavs at the 6th seed. It's not because the Mavs are bad. I just think everybody else above them is just going to be that damn good. Right? I don't look like you might have Dallas not making the playoffs at all.
I do not. I have them fairly close to where you have them.
Like, so I got them at the 6th seed, right? I first off, Luka Doncic is that cold. Like, he's single-handedly going to get this team to the playoffs.
I agree with you on that. I just don't really know who the second guy. Like, it's been the question basically since he got there. Chris Porzingis clearly wasn't the guy. I don't have a clue now who it is. Like, who is the second guy who's supposed to be his running mate now?
Well,
don't say Christian Wood.
I wasn't. It's probably going to be THJ. It's probably going to be Hardaway.
Come on. He's a decent 3-and-D wing, but he's nothing.
No, he's 3-and-D. You like Hardaway can put the ball on the floor and get his own basket.
A little bit.
All right, so but it's going to be him. It's going to be THJ. And Christian Wood is a 20-and-10 guy. He can be that guy. But
yeah, I mean, maybe he's never really played meaningful basketball at any point during his career. So I guess it'll be interesting to see what he actually looks like when he has to play minutes that matter.
Exactly. So yeah, but they're gonna be the 6th seed to me.
And then at 7, who do you have at 7?
Who do I have at 7? Who the hell is left? Phoenix. I think I got Phoenix at 7. I mean, like this DeAndre Ayton situation is disgusting. Nobody's happy about it. They can't move him for 4 months.
Not until like December or
January.
January, something like that. Yeah.
They can't move him for like 4 months. Chris Paul, like Jimmy Butler, Chris Paul has a so he has a timestamp, right? Like everything's good, and all of a sudden it's boom,
yep.
Right? But for different reasons. Like usually it's just his durability just is terrible during the latter stretches of his of his tenures with teams. I don't see, and you already said like the owner stuff, like that's just a whole nother like compared to the two situations. The owner thing is way more easier to forget because that is like, oh, I'm not making that decision now that I will rule. I have to see DeAndre Ayton every day. I have to play with DeAndre Ayton every day.
I mean, Monte, he didn't speak to Monte Williams the entire offseason. Like it's just not a good look for what everything going on in Phoenix. That's to me a team that probably regresses more than any other team in the NBA.
And it's Monty Williams. I think it's Monty Williams trying to save face. Well, I didn't talk to a lot of players this offseason. Like, no, that's not no.
Please, that's not gonna fly.
No.
My number 7 seed is the Dallas Mavericks. It's the same things that we just talked about. Luka is the engine of this team. I just don't really love any of the other pieces around him. Like they're all fine. There's nobody I can like, hey, Luka's off the floor. I need a bucket. Who am I giving it to? I don't have the answer to that question still. Do you?
Yes, it's T. Obviously, Jalen Brunson's gone, so he recouped. He stepped up where I guarantee nobody expected Jalen Brunson to go off the way that he did.
True.
Right?
I mean, Tim Hardaway Jr. was also injured for the latter half of the last season, so he didn't get to play in the playoffs.
So it's definitely on him. It's on Spencer Dinwiddie. I don't know. A dark horse for rookie of the year, Jaden Hardy. Like he's definitely
he balled out in summer league. He looks good.
He definitely gonna have to step up. I don't know if J. Kidd is one of those coaches that don't like playing rookies. I don't think he is.
He's not gonna have a choice. Like they just don't have the depth. Like they just don't have like a great roster. Like it's Luka and then just a bunch of other players. I just don't really know where the second scoring punch comes from. Dallas is my first play-in team. My second play-in team is the New Orleans Pelicans. I do think they're gonna be good, but this is a Western Conference that's just super deep. Like when you're talking about like 4 through 5 through the end of like basically 11. These are all good basketball teams. One of them is going to have to miss the playoffs. I just think the Pelicans, they're going to have to integrate Zion into their offense, into their team. I think that may take a learning curve. That learning curve may cost them a couple playoff spots because if you lose like 3 games here and there because you're trying to feel stuff out in your roster, I think that could cost you some games there. New Orleans is my 8th seed. Who do you got at 8?
You ready for this one?
Yeah.
It's because, for one, they absolutely need to. Like, they really need to. It's the Kings.
Oh, man. All right. What, you don't have the Clippers in your top 8?
No, the Clippers are... no,
we'll get into it.
I got to reseed my whole thing because I definitely left them out. So, who do I have at 1?
So you got Warriors, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Pelicans, Lakers, Mavericks, Suns, Kings.
Okay, move everybody from 4 down to 1 spot. Put the Clippers at 4.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm forgetting somebody.
Yeah, all right. So you got the Suns at 8. So we'll just swing right into the Kings. You got the Kings at 9.
Yeah, the Kings will be my first play team. Like it's a step in the right direction. Right, especially after like 20 years of no playoff basketball whatsoever, 20 years of being completely irrelevant. And I mean that I'm not even joking. Like you hold the longest playoff drought across all North American sports. Like you own that. It's yours now. I think it's been 16 years
Yeah.
since the Sacramento Kings have made the playoffs. Uh, yeah, and it'll be good to see De'Aaron Fox and well, Sabonis has been to the playoffs. I can't say that about.
Yeah, he was. He was on those Indiana teams that went to the playoffs with
And the Thunder teams, it was just literally him and like Westbrook and everybody else.
Yep.
Yeah.
My number 9 seed is the Portland Trailblazers. I like the low-key like what they did this offseason. Getting Jeremy Grant, I think he's a good compliment to Damian Lillard. This really all depends on how healthy Damian Lillard is at this point in the season, because he wasn't. I know he got hurt early, but he wasn't good last season either. So I look at this, like what they end up doing here. I mean, they have to expect their players to take Anthony Simons to take a major league forward. He's got to be a consistent number 2. Yusuf Nurkic has to stay healthy. I think Portland, this has got to be it. I mean, if they don't at least do something in the Western Conference this season, this will be all she wrote for the Damian Lillard era in Portland. Like Jeremy Grant will walk in free agency, Damian Lillard will be gone in the offseason. Yusuf Nurkic will just be there by himself with Anthony Simons. I got Portland number 9.
Oh, you got Portland number 9. Look, I don't necessarily hate that. But for all the reasons that you said that this shit is over, yeah, this shit is over.
Well, I think my only reason I have Portland where I have him is just on the strength of Damian Lillard. I just believe in him as a basketball player. Like, I can't not put him at least in the play-in. I think he'll will this team there as long as he can stay healthy, as long as he can develop some of the younger players, and if they can get anything out of the kid they drafted in the draft this year, I think that would be a major leap forward. I got the Blazers at 9. My final play-in team is the Sacramento Kings. I low-key love what they did this offseason. I think they addressed some major needs here. I like the addition to Kevin Huerter next to De'Aaron Fox, a knockdown shooter guy, can really shoot the basketball. I like the Malik Monk signing. I like the Keegan Murray draft pick. As much as I hated it at the time, I still don't love it because, man, Jay Ivey's been insane in the preseason. But Keegan Murray fits this roster better than he does. Jay Ivey does. And Keegan Murray was good in the summer league. I know he's a little banged up right now, but I think this is a roster that's going to be decent. Domantas Sabonis is a good center. Should get some teams some problems. I have them as my number 10 seed and my final play-in team, Sacramento.
And for some reason, Sacramento is just one of those tough places to play at. I don't get it. I don't. Like, they win 20 games a year, but they're still one of the toughest places to play at.
Who do you have at 10?
Who I have at 10? Had he been healthy, probably OKC, but losing Chet Holmgren that's a huge blow. So I'm not gonna have them there. Houston could probably make the play-in. Maybe. Yeah, man, I'm going with Houston.
You're going to have Houston over the Timberwolves?
No, everybody moved down a spot. Minnesota's like 5.
You had the Pelicans at 5. You had the Lakers at 6. So the way you have it right now, Warriors, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Clippers, Pelicans, Lakers, Mavericks, Suns, Kings.
Okay, that's why I had Minnesota like battling for like 5 and 6, 5 and 6 with the Lakers. I could have sworn I said that.
Well, you said, and then you mentioned Minnesota, then you said the Lakers, and then you were like, oh, I guess it's gonna be the Lakers, and I kind of thought that was the team you picked.
No, because I pretty much put two teams at different seeds, but it's neither here nor there.
Okay,
Minnesota's gonna be there. They're with the moves they made, they're definitely going to be somewhere in the top 8. I don't know where, but disregard my list.
I'll just put the Timberwolves at 10. We can all be happy.
No, because like I know they're going to be better than that. So like that's not at all. The only way they're at 10, seriously, the only way the Timberwolves are at 10 is if this thing just completely just doesn't work. Everybody's hurt. Gobert forgets how to do everything. Karl Anthony Towns can't hit the ocean standing on the beach. Anthony Edwards regresses. Like that's literally the only way they go from. All
right, here we go. I got it fixed now. So you got the Timberwolves at 7. So you're gonna put the Rockets at 11.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't necessarily hate that. I do like the additions that they did. Jalen Green taking another step forward. All those young pieces should get better. My number 11 seed is the Lakers. I just don't trust Anthony Davis to stay healthy. I don't really know if LeBron James can keep up this workload. And there's a lot of questions on this roster. I just don't love it. I think there's a lot of like just meh basketball players on their roster. And I know it's a little disrespectful. I know it's LeBron James, but I just can't imagine that he can continue to carry this team every season. Like the only way that they make the playoffs is if Anthony Davis makes a major step forward. Like he has to claim this team as his own and be the best player on the team. If he does not do that, he continues to defer to LeBron, this will not be a playoff team.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely what played a role in last season. Like everybody can I think that's what separates Westbrook from like everybody else. Westbrook can take the blame.
Yeah.
Right. He's the scapegoat. He's the low hanging fruit, right?
Yeah, 100%.
You blame Anthony Davis, it's like blaming it's basically blaming the heir apparent. Right? You can't blame the heir apparent for all this going wrong. Like you can't do that. But BS. Yes, you can. Yeah. You're just choosing not to.
This is completely on Anthony Davis. I don't trust Anthony Davis to take that step forward. I don't expect him to embrace this basketball team as his own. That's why I have them missing the playoffs. It has nothing to do with like the rosters. It's fine. Like LeBron James is going to be LeBron James. Russell Westbrook is going to be Westbrook if they don't move him, which I don't think they're going to. Anthony Davis needs to take this team as his own. I do not expect him to do that. That's the reason I don't have him in the playoffs. Nothing else. 12 for me is the Houston Rockets. I totally agree with you on the Houston Rockets. I love their roster. I think they're still a draft away from really being competitive, but there's pieces on this team that are good, and they should be able to compete. Jabari Smith has been will be a solid 3-and-D wing who can shoot the basketball, can handle a little bit. Jalen Green continues to get better. KPJ, look for Albert and Sengun. Look for those guys to just continue to play well. Like, it's going to get better. They have a lot of young players at 12.
Yeah, Steven Silas is the head coach. Like, he's a solid coach.
Yeah, he's been solid. For 12 for you?
12 for me, OKC. I definitely see them staying right where they are. I mean, obviously, like, it sucks because you're hoping that SGA, what's his name? SGA, Chet Holmgren, and whoever, fill in the blank, forms a trio there for, or not fill in the blank, Giddey, Josh Giddey. So, like, as long as you don't trade SGA, you have something there. Him, Josh Giddey, Chet Holmgren. Yeah, it's nasty.
On paper, it's extremely nice on paper. But unfortunately, we don't play basketball on paper most of the time.
But I'm kind of like you. Like, if I'm SGA, like, yo, man, like, I can't. At some point in time, I would like to play competitive basketball again. Right. Like, I got a taste of it in the bubble, but that's that. Like, you can't equate that to.
Well, I mean, he was on that Clippers team that made the playoffs with Chris Paul, and then he got traded, and then they went to the playoffs again that next season with Chris Paul. So he's played some meaningful basketball, but it's been a while. It's been 3 or 4 seasons since he's played anything that really matters. And once you get the taste of winning, it's when you get the taste of playing winning basketball. I'm sure it's tough to go from playing winning basketball to being a bottom feeder in your conference
consistently.
Yeah.
Right, like consistent. Like ever since it was established that you are the best player on this team. This is yours. This is your show. You have been at the bottom, and that's not where you want to be.
So if you had 13, who is your 13th team in the Western Conference?
Who I got left?
I'm trying to figure that out, actually. So you got the Spurs and the Jazz and the Trailblazers.
That's 13. I'll probably go Portland. I just don't like. I mean, like I respect the hell out of things. Got it out the mud, all that good stuff. But dude, at some point in time, it's just not enough. It's not enough.
I'm sure his massive paycheck is getting him through it. I mean, he's going to be making like $60 million at one point. So I'm sure I know the pay. Yeah, it'll be. He's being compensated fairly nicely there in Portland. But yeah, I agree with you. I mean, this has got to be a make or break season for Portland. They either figure it out, and make the playoffs, or it's over.
Because again, the worst place you can be is that right there. Like, not even. I don't care that you're bad. Like, even every bad team has a direction. Every bad team is like, all right, we're bad. How are we going to get better? The Trailblazers are a bad team that they don't know they're bad.
Yeah, nobody's giving them the memo that hey, you guys are
You suck.
you
You
guys
guys are
suck.
gonna be bad.
Like Jeremy Grant is a fine player, but if you're expecting him to carry you through the playoffs, I think you're maybe sadly mistaken. Yeah, we'll see. My 13th seed is the same team that you had at 12. I got the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay.
I just think that like Josh Giddey is going to get shut down early. I think Josh Giddey is going to get shut down early. This isn't going to be a team that's going to be trying to win a lot of basketball games, especially down the stretch. Now they don't have Chet Holmgren. There's no real incentive to try to like be a good basketball team this season because there's no point because they're for sure not a title contender. You're either going to be a title contender or you're going to be a high lottery pick team, and I think that's what they're going to go for. At 14, I have the Utah Jazz. This is a caveat with Utah that if they have to, so like they have some decent players. Like offensively, I think they're going to be fine. Like they got Colin Sexton, they got Jordan Clarkson. They don't trade him away, and they still have Mike Conley on this team. If they don't trade him away, which I don't expect either of those two guys to be on the roster when the season's over. But the Jazz should be able to score the basketball a little bit, and like they'll be better than I think people give them credit for because they did get some pieces in all of those trades that can be productive. And yeah, so I think unless they really do a dumpster fire and trade everyone and be like, yeah, we're really going for this Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes, the Jazz won't be the worst team in the Western Conference.
Well,
Jazz.
I kind of see that happening. What's his name? I see the Mike Conley trade happening. I see him getting off this team some way, shape, or form. Right? They might.
I think Jordan Clarkson and Mike Conley will for sure not be on this team.
I legit think. Well, to me, Clarkson has the most value.
Yep, he's on an expiring deal. He's a plug and play on any roster in the NBA.
I saw a deal, like just a fake deal between the Jazz and the Bulls that involved the Bulls get Clarkson, obviously, and I think the Bulls get Kobe. The Jazz get Kobe White. I forgot who else. There was another name and like a second round draft pick or something like that.
I'm not sure I would do that, but
if I find it, it might be long gone. But if I find it, I'll send it to the group.
Okay.
But I legit think Mike Conley might be like, hey, bro, like, thank you for your service. We're just going to waive you, give you your money. Then you can sign anywhere you want to, right? And
I can also see that. I don't remember how much. I think he's got one. This might be his last year in his deal.
But I don't think they're going to be as bad as the Spurs are.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. So he's got this season and next season. So that buyout would be expensive. Like you basically have to waive him, basically like leave. I'm not sure that's going to happen. That'd be like some Sam Van Gundy shit.
Right. So like and by them trading for what's his name, Walker Kessler, and you still got Kofi Coburn coming off the bench. What the plan is for him, I don't know. Hassan Whiteside is still on this team, which I think, I'm not sure. So I don't think you do the whole the Twin Tower thing in Utah, right? So Scoot Henderson and Colin Sexton might be your backcourt of the future.
100%. Because I have the San Antonio Spurs as my 15th seed in the Western Conference too. This is the worst roster in the NBA. Like I can't even point to one player where it's like this guy can go get you like 30 a night. Like I just don't think they have it. Like they've purposely set themselves up to be just not garbage this season for real.
Well, again, I want that Greg Pop pack because for him to think Jakob Poeltl is worth 2 first rounders.
Yeah, right.
And brother, we ain't forgot that. I don't see that. Like obviously, like Wembanyama might be he's gonna be the first pick in the draft. That's not the question. Barring like hell, even if he plays this year,
man, if he were to get hurt, I think he's still
right. That's what I'm saying.
Here's the thing. So I was reading something on the internet yesterday, or the day before. Like Victor Wembanyama would be the first pick in a draft that includes LeBron.
Well,
right? Wouldn't it be? Like who would be the first pick, Victor or LeBron? Like you think about 18-year-old LeBron or this kid, who would be the first overall pick? I think it would be Victor.
And it's not even because of his skill set; it's because of his height. Like think about it, bro. Like if you had to choose between a good young big or a good young guard, you're going with the big, right? Every time you're going with the big, right? He's 7'4". He can put the ball on the floor. He can pull up from 35.
Yeah.
Literally saw him do it.
Yeah, we'll break down his game another time. This is more about the Western Conference standings, but yeah, that guy is going to be excellent at some point. Like whatever he decides, like whenever he like season when like for real.
But to your point, if you have to choose between 7'4" Wembanyama or 6'8" LeBron James, you're going 7'4" because you can't teach 7'4".
No, as Enzo Amore used to say, and you can't teach that.
You can't teach that. Right?
No. Moving on. Yeah, so this has been our standings. Let's take a look at how they shook up at the end. For me, I got the Grizzlies, Clippers, Warriors, Timberwolves, Denver, Suns, Mavericks, Pelicans, Trailblazers, Kings, Lakers, Rockets, Thunder, Jazz, Spurs. On TJ's side, Warriors, Grizzlies, Nuggets, Clippers, Pelicans, Lakers, Timberwolves, Mavericks, Suns, Kings, Rockets, Thunder, Trailblazers, Jazz, Spurs. And then we wrap up our show with the staple of the crossover, the GOAT Talk. If you don't know what it is, I'm not going to go through the explanation again. TJ, let me get it, man. Like this. So this is two players that didn't get their shine while they're in the NBA. This is a show where we give them their shine as we try to break down their games and pick who had the better career. This time we're going to be staying in the Western Conference. Last time was Eastern. So.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get it.
So today I'm doing something a little different. I'm not highlighting one particular player. I'm highlighting two particular teams, two different teams.
Okay. All right.
So there's no guessing. There's none of that. I'm just going to flat out, right? So these teams are literally 1 year apart. They are 1 year apart, right? So the first team, you ready? First team is the 2009-2010 Phoenix Suns. Head coach, Alvin Gentry. Record, 54-28. Finished second in their division. They lost in the Western Conference Finals to the Lakers. All right. Some stats about the team. They averaged 110 a game. They led the league in scoring.
Of course they did.
They led. You are terrible. They led the league in scoring, but they gave up like 105 a game. So that was like 26. It was one of those things like you are not gonna our offense is our defense. You're just not gonna outscore us, right? They averaged like, what is this?
Is this the Nash, Marion, Stoudemire?
This is Nash was on the team. Stoudemire was on the team. This is Nash, Jason Richardson, Robin Lopez, Grant Hill at the end of his career, Channing Frye, Jared Dudley, Goran Dragic, Earl Clark, Barbosa, like that team.
Yeah, all right.
So they also their pace was like 95.3. That was like fourth in the league. So like they were very fast paced team. And what else was it? Like I said, first round they beat Portland 4-2. Second round they swept the Spurs 4-0. And then like I said, they just ran into Kobe Bryant and the Lakers and they lost 4-2 in the conference finals. Would be a tradition when it comes to all right. So the second team, right, the year before, the 2008-2009 Denver Nuggets.
This is the Western Conference team that went to lost the Western Conference to the Lakers with Chauncey Billups.
They also lost in the Western Conference Finals. Yes, they did. Head coach George Karl. They averaged 104 points a game. That was sixth in the league, and they gave up 100 points a game. So that was like 18th. So they were just below average in terms of defense. Their pace was 94.3, so that was sixth. So they were another fast-paced team. Their defensive rating was 106.8, which was eighth out of 30. And their expected win-loss was 50-32, so they surpassed their win total, expected win total about 4 games.
So they're 54. They had the same record as the
54-28. Yep.
And this is the J.R. Smith, Kenya Martin, Chauncey Billups, Carmelo Anthony team, along with Birdman, right? Birdman on that team?
Birdman was on this. Yeah, Birdman was on this team. Melo, Chucky Atkins, Chauncey Billups, Anthony Carter, Nene, Jason Hart, who's now coaching the G League at night. Allen Iverson was still on this team. DeHonte Jones, Kenyon Martin, J.R. Smith.
I thought Allen Iverson got traded for Chauncey Billups.
No, they played like 1 year together, and then
no, they didn't.
AI's on the roster, dude. I'm looking at it.
For sure. I thought that Allen Iverson got traded for Chauncey Billups. That was like the deal that happened.
I don't think so. But okay. AI's listed. But
I guess that makes it a whole other question of how did Allen Iverson end up on Pistons to make that trade? Never mind. Yeah, I guess you're right.
So yeah, like these are two teams. They both went 54-28. They both went to the Western Conference Finals. They both lost to the same team. So how I like to do this is if you was to take these two teams from their set, like from you plot the 08 Nuggets versus the 09-10 Suns, you plop them in a 7-game series. Who wins that best of 7?
I think I'm gonna go. The Denver Nuggets, that 08-09 Denver Nuggets team. Big shot Chauncey Billups. Carmelo Anthony is, in the prime of his career, the best player out of all of these guys that we just talked about. Anyway,
definitely Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, and Kenny Martin, probably the best defensive player out of everybody we listed here. Maybe Robin Lopez can give him something to say, but I just think this Denver Nuggets team was really good, and they still. I mean, Allen Iverson was a shell, kind of not like at the back end of his career, but he was still Allen freaking Iverson. Give me the Denver Nuggets, the 08 Denver Nuggets. I think.
I'm gonna go with the Suns. I don't think. Yeah, Melo is the best player of the bunch, and it's not close. I just don't think that Nuggets team would be able to keep up with this Phoenix team. Right? Like because I think so like you got Birdman, you got Nene, you got a bunch of other bigs on that Denver team. Who is keeping up with Amari Stoudemire in the open court?
It's Kenyon Martin.
Think so?
It's got to be. I mean, he's the only really option we have when we talk about this particular roster. I mean, the Kenyon Martin was a really good defensive player at his time. Probably underrated all time, actually. Kenyon Martin is. He is. For sure. I think he would be able to at least check Stoudemire. I mean, because you're not going to be able to stop Stoudemire and Steve Nash. You're not going to be able to stop those guys from scoring. They're going to get theirs. I mean, you just have to not allow Robin Lopez and Grant Hill at the end of his career, and Dudley to go off, and Channing Frye and Barbosa and all those guys. Like, you need to limit those guys. I mean, offensively, I mean, Chauncey Billups, Carmelo Anthony, J.R. Smith, all those guys could get buckets if they want to. Allen Iverson, Nene was a good player who was a physical 5 who could play and defend a little bit.
And it also comes down like who's the better coach between the two at the time? George Karl, Alvin Gentry.
George Karl is going to be in the Hall of Fame.
Is he not?
If he's not already.
Are you sure? Like, is he not?
He might be. I don't know. I don't really keep up with George Karl in his life, but I don't. He might be already in the Hall of Fame. He's like the 3rd winningest coach in the history of the league. He's for sure going to be in the Hall of Fame if he's not already.
Yes. Like, it's just.
Yeah, he is in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, what class? Does it say what class?
No, it doesn't.
Doesn't? I don't know. Like, it would have been entertaining because I would have loved to see the myriad of defenders that Phoenix is going to trot out to.
He made the Hall of Fame in 2022.
Oh, so he just got in.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I would have loved to see the different defenders thrown at Carmelo in this hypothetical situation, right? Like we do this all the time, right? With like everybody wants to compare the 72 Bulls to like the 73 Warriors team, right? Like who's gonna guard who? So I just like you gotta guard Carmelo, right? So Jay Rich is gonna get a crack at it, but he's too small. He too little. Grant Hill too long in the tooth. So it would have been a lot of Jared Dudley
Yeah. So I guess I don't know. I'm gonna go with Denver, but that's gonna be a 7-game series. It could go either way. That's interesting. Like, I kind of like that format. That's pretty fun.
Earl Clark, like rookie Earl Clark, because Earl Clark was 16, bro. Earl Clark was 16. So you probably throw him on Melo, like, hey, maybe your length can bother him a little bit.
I mean, Earl Clark, come on. No disrespect, Earl Clark.
I'm not saying. Like, first off, you confuse what I'm saying. Like, first off, you're not locking him down. You're not.
Not 08, 09, Carmelo Anthony.
No. You're not locking him down. Like, so it's fun. It's fun.
I like that. I like that format. It's fun. But yeah, this has been our predicting the 2022-23 NBA Season 8 Western Conference Edition. Let us know down in the comment section how you think the NC Conference is going to shake out. I've been David Huppin. Right there is Mr. TJ Hopkins. And stay tuned because Fantasy Football Weekly is about to get started here in about 5-10 minutes. And then after Saturday, me and TJ are going to be back doing the crossover. We're going to be predicting the entire. We're going to predict some awards. We're going to predict who's coming out to winning the title. That's on Saturday. Time to be determined. So keep an eye out for that show. TJ, what we do here at the Prime, my friends?
We bring the heat, but there's no way Allen Iverson was on this team because
I told you.
Because they also drafted Ty Lawson. Wait, was that the same year they drafted Ty Lawson? Was that the next year?
I could have sworn that Allen Iverson got traded to Detroit for Chauncey Billups. Could have sworn during but maybe not.
Ty Lawson was next year, and Allen Iverson was definitely off the roster next year.
Well, either way, we'll be back here tomorrow. Keep an eye out for the Fantasy Football Weekly. TJ, have a good night, man. Have a good day at work.
I see you, man. Have a good show.
Peace out, man.